Tonight on Bang Goes the Theory, Jem goes into battle against the ultimate sound weapon. Dallas finds out whether he's a man or a mouse. I investigate the science behind fear. And back in Bang HQ, the boys have cooked up a little thrill-seeking experiment.
137, 152!
Hello and welcome to Bang Goes the Theory, the show that gets seriously hands-on with the science that makes our world go round and people like him tick.
And the exciting news this week, of course,
is
that it's a bank holiday next weekend. And what could be more bank holiday-ish than roller coasters, the ultimate 90-second buzz?
Ooh, or the ultimate 90-second barf. I mean, come on, some people just don't like it, do they?
Exactly. Jem, knock it off, just for a second, just 1 minute.
I've just got 2 more cuts to do.
1 minute.
Just 1 minute.
The interesting thing about that is that adrenaline junkies can be born and not made. So I decided to put that to the test to see whether or not I've got the genes of a man or a mouse.
I could have told you that.
OK, you can go again. So this is where there's more funny and contorted faces per square metre than anywhere else in the country. And this man over here has seen more than most, I'm guessing. You're Brendan, aren't you? Nice to meet you.
Hi, Dallas.
I think it's nice to meet you. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Now, let me just get this right. You measure thrill. You're like some kind of thrill barometer by kind of observing people's reactions on rides like this.
That's my job.
I mean, like, how come, like, some people are born to seek out thrill and others aren't? I mean, what is it that... Why is this man sticking things to my face?
All will be revealed. People's desires, or not, to seek out new sensations is partly to do with evolution. So imagine it's eons ago, and we're all living in caves. So the higher the risks you take, the more likely you are to become a successful hunter, and also perhaps more attractive to a potential mate.
I like that. I'm in that category, I think.
It kind of sounds like a good way to be.
Yeah, I think so.
But the higher the risk you take, the more likely you are to get eaten. So a variety of thrill-seeking tendencies have evolved in the human population. So that's what we're about to find out. Are you a caveman or a cave mouse?
The sensors on my fingers will tell Brendan how sweaty I get on the ride, while the chest ones measure my heart rate. There are also sensors stuck onto my face to monitor my expressions. OK, so this is it. Get ready. Time to find out how brave I am. Doesn't seem too bad so far. Oh, God, no! I'm gonna eat
Oh, I don't want to do this! All those sensors are actually showing me all your levels of fear and excitement on the ride. And I did say all's going to be revealed.
So did I come out on top as a strong hunter type?
Afraid not.
So the news isn't quite what I'd hoped for. Here at the scariest bit of the ride, my fear levels shoot through the roof. So sadly, it seems I'm not the thrill-seeking lady magnet I imagined myself to be.
The data doesn't lie. I've been collecting all your values for your fear, your excitement, and I've been able to come up with your very own thrill factor for the ride. So it's out of 10. The lower the score, the higher a thrill seeker you are. And in fact, actually, anything under 5 puts you squarely in the category of an adrenaline junkie.
So what am I? I'm not gonna like this answer. I suspect.
You scored a whopping 7.5.
Oh, that's rubbish. Oh, that's really rubbish. OK, so I'm officially a wimp. But there is hope for me yet. I want to transform myself into the brave Dallas of my dreams, and according to Brendan, my best shot is something called desensitization.
So Dallas, with desensitization, it's best to build up slowly. So I'm going to put you on a ride which satisfies your current thirst for thrill, and then we're going to build you up gradually. You're going to be going on this.
really enjoyed that. That was good. That was much more my cup of tea. Even better, I get a massage. Not so bad, this desensitization lark. Or so I thought. Because I'm going on this next. And this is what Brendan called slowly building up.
Oh my word! Oh, I don't like this at all.
Apparently, the idea of desensitization is the more I'm exposed to thrill, the less sensitive I'll become to it.
Can I get off now?
No, you have to stay on just one more time.
But if I'm pushed over a certain fear level too soon, the rides could reinforce my fears.
Oh, please make it stop.
I definitely prefer the teacups.
It wasn't so much the fear, it was just the fact that my stomach was swapping places with my esophagus.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that you're desensitised, and it's only going to be getting worse.
This is the most horrible one yet.
It's all getting a bit more serious now, and I'm going off desensitization fast. But if done carefully, over time, this kind of gradual exposure technique can help treat phobias and even car sickness.
For the love of God! Oh!
Allegedly.
I feel sick.
To take my mind off the possibility of seeing my breakfast again, Brendan kindly lets me relax. This should give me happy thoughts and stop me from associating the rides with negative feelings.
Oh, that's nice.
A touch of yoga, and guess what? I'm going back on again. Ten rides down the line, and I never want to see a roller coaster again. But Brendan's got other ideas.
I think it's probably about time we tested your new thrill factor. And to make it a fair test, I'm going to put you back on the same ride as this morning.
Really?
Afraid so.
The sensors are stuck firmly back on, and it's time for the retest. This is the moment I find out if I've turned from a mouse into a man.
I'm a broken man, Brandon / mouse.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I think I might have some good news for you.
Please give me good news, because I can't deal with any other kind of news.
If you look at your facial expressions
Yes.
here, you can see that there's not much going on there. It's a bit like you're watching paint dry.
Does that put me into the sort of caveman realms of adrenaline seeking?
Yeah, within a theme park setting. Yeah. Now, this morning your thrill factor was 7.5 out of 10. Now, remember, anything below 5 puts you in the thrill seeker, high adrenaline junkie kind of category. Your new thrill factor is just 1.
Ooh. One. Now, I know to the untrained eye that looked like I was just having a nice day at an amusement park, but we were, in fact, conducting some very serious scientific research, not to mention feeling a little bit queasy. Now, the reason that Jem is all wired up is because he is about to experience the future of thrill rides. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I think so.
Good. Now then, this is where the science happens. I can monitor all Jem's vital signs on this computer screen here and adjust the ride accordingly. So if I start
Dallas,
him off-
remember I'm human, not just a bunch of numbers. It's like,
Okay, now I can see already, okay, his heart rate's jumping. It's up to about 134, 35. He's very excited. His excitement level's up to 816, whatever that is. He's not that frightened, though, and he is sweating a lot. So I reckon he can do a bit better than this. So I'm gonna really start to crank it up. I'm gonna turn the bucking bronco speed up and then spin him round a bit. And as I spin him round, his heart rate really jumps up to 137, 152, and he's off. Are you all right?
you ride a crazy horse, Dallas.
Now, the really exciting thing is that Thrill Lab, the researchers who actually built this, are developing a fully automated computer-controlled model that'll be able to measure those vital signs in real time, basically taking me out of the loop. Okay, move over. I want to go on this. But
You're the
be
thrill
gentle.
seeking. I will, of
All right.
course, be gentle, Dallas. It'll just be a level 1.
I am never going to get those two off that thing. Anyway, now for something that rather annoyingly does still scare the proverbial out of me, snakes. But my fear might not be quite as irrational as it seems, according to new research. Fear, the feeling of agitation and anxiety caused by the presence or imminence of danger. But it does have a critical purpose, to save our lives, and I'm going to show you how. Tell you what, Dallas wouldn't do this. Today, I've agreed to get up close and personal with a snake, all in the name of science. I must be bonkers. First, I'm being kitted out with sensors on my body to measure my blood pressure, my heart rate, and my breathing. And here comes the moment of truth. Oh, lordy lord, the things you do for television. Meet Ra, a 10-foot-long Burmese python weighing in at 15 kilos. Unbelievable.
They don't attack people when
you say
they're
they were-
nervous.
I'm trying my best to control my fear of snakes, but immediately my breathing gets faster and my heart rate and blood pressure shoot right up. My heart is actually beating through my chest. It's unbelievable. And I'm also starting to sweat. I'm ready to get him off me now soon. But it's these physical symptoms that could actually save my life. Completely freaky. Well, what you just witnessed there is my body's slightly embarrassing response to fear, and it's called a fight or flight response. When we come across something dangerous or frightening, it kicks into action and adrenaline is released into our system. And that prepares us to either run for our lives or fight for survival. So fear can be life-saving, but what if you're not aware of the danger? Now, seeing as Ra the python was literally plonked on me, there was little chance of my missing him. But in the wild, it can be a lot trickier to spot a snake because they're usually extremely well camouflaged. There's not much point in this great fight and flight response if I've trodden on a snake by mistake. What I really need is an advanced warning system to get my body in gear quickly before it's too late. Now, the really interesting bit here is that scientists think they found just that, located in the very depths of our brains. Now, to find out more, I've come to meet a neuroscientist who's going to help me recreate a very clever little experiment that was first carried out by a certain Professor Oman in Sweden. The experiment is simple. I lie in an MRI scanner and they show me some pictures.
Right, we're going to show you various pictures on the screen, so your job is just to lie still and watch them while the scanner measures your brain activity, okay?
Okay. When the experiment begins, a series of random images are flashed before my eyes. Now, I've got to admit, this doesn't feel scary at all, but there is a lot more going on than I realise.
Okay, all finished. I'll come and get you out.
I am dying to get out of here, lads. Come on now.
Okay, you can sit up. Yay! Well done.
Finally, all is about to be revealed.
You thought you were seeing just some random jumbled pictures, but in reality what you were really seeing were these pictures of snakes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, but we showed them so quickly that your conscious brain couldn't work out what you were seeing.
At a 30th of a second, it really was blink and you'll miss it. But here are some of the images slowed down. Whoa, I definitely didn't see any of those scary looking fellas.
Interestingly, your brain did.
Really? How can you tell?
Let me show you a picture of your brain.
Okay.
These parts of the brain here are the amygdala. That's the fear centre of the brain, and it controls the fight or flight response. There's one on the left, one on the right, and they're kind of sort of in the middle of your brain.
Okay, so whenever anything scary happens to you, that fires up.
Yeah, so this kind of controls your fear response. And these red dots show that your amygdala was activated when you saw snakes.
Okay, but Jeff, I didn't see those snakes, so how come it's firing up?
Well, if we look at your structural scan,
Yeah.
we've got two routes to vision. We've got a conscious route, where information enters the eyes, gets passed along the optic nerve, and ends up at the very back of the brain, the primary visual cortex.
And if it's something scary, then it'll go to the amygdala, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's a very slow route, but it's the conscious world that we live in. It's what we can see. But there's another route. There's an unconscious route. And this is really, really fast. So information comes in the eye, it's passed along the optic nerve to this part of the brain here, called the superior colliculus. And this is an evolutionary ancient part of the brain. It's really, really old. But the good thing is it can pass information directly through to the amygdala. And this route is purely unconscious, but very fast.
This lightning-quick unconscious response to snakes probably evolved around 65 million years ago, when they were one of our ancestors' most dangerous predators. And amazingly, we may still be using it in today's world, helping us to react to and avoid danger before we see it. If I wait for consciousness to catch up, it might just be too late.
Well done. Seriously, that was
cringe.
great. Have you got over your fear of snakes, do you think?
Do you know what's kind of interesting? By the end of the film, I had forced myself to get more up close and personal with the snakes, and I actually don't mind them as much now. So maybe it's interesting to investigate the whole desensitization of the fight or flight response. What do you think?
I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. Face the fear.
Absolutely.
And do it anyway. Speaking of fear, I'm terrified of Dr. Yan and his massive intellect, but I'm going to face that fear now. I think he's doing something with balloons. Let's go and have a look.
I've got 2 balloons here. This one goes up. This one, goes down. What's going on? What do you think's in that?
Helium.
Helium is really light. Try feeling that one. Whoop. Is that quite heavy?
For a balloon.
For a balloon. Heavier than air?
That's a lot heavier than air.
It is, in fact, you might not have heard of it, a gas called sulfur hexafluoride. And it's very, very dense. It's about 5 times denser than air. That's why the balloon feels so heavy. Helium is a really light gas, and it's much, much less dense than air. So, what do you think is going to happen if I inhale, well, helium and try sulfur hexafluoride? Let's see. Now, I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths at the start because it's quite dangerous, so don't do this at home.
So what's happened to my voice? It sounds a bit like that, doesn't it? And do you think that's a bit squeaky? Shall I try it again? And that's my normal voice. So does it sound squeaky?
The interesting thing is, though, it should be starting to go back down, but it isn't actually a higher voice. I'll show you. It's squeakier, but it's not higher. So I'll take some deep breaths between that. Okay, and so I'm going to sing a note and tell me if the note sounds like it's changed. So I'll go, la.
La. But my voice is still squeaky.
So what's happening is it's not changing the pitch of my voice, but sound travels 7 times faster through helium than it does through air. It doesn't change the notes I'm making, but it does change the way it bounces around inside my mouth. The harmonics, they're called, and that makes a different noise. It accentuates the high bits and not the low bits. So what do you think will happen when I inhale this?
And now my voice sounds a bit like that, which is a much deeper, isn't it? And I sound a bit like a Bond villain, Dr. Evil. Oh.
There we go.
Now listen, there's a lot of piping here.
You spotted it.
I'm guessing Liz didn't order this in.
No, I'll explain now.
Okay.
Jan was saying about the speed of sound through helium and through sulfur hexafluoride.
Yes.
And I thought I'd try and show you exactly what he means.
Okay.
Right, now, sound has a definite speed. It travels at 340 metres a second in normal air.
It's about 770 miles an hour. That's right, speed of sound.
Spot on, Dallas, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I have 340 metres of pipe here, so it should take 1 second for a shout in there to reach there.
And do you think this is going to work? I mean, will the sound get all the way around all these coils and out the other end?
It's got a long way to go, but
Okay.
the physics says it should happen.
Okay, here we go. Ready? That is amazing. That is, you can really, there's a good second delay. That really demonstrates the speed of sound perfectly.
Exactly.
Let me do it again. That is really, really good. You can actually hear that second delay before the sound comes out.
It's almost exactly a second. It's good to know it's not just a number in a textbook.
Exactly, it actually works. Okay, well, that's the speed of sound cracked. It's time to take on ultimate sound.
If I'm going to understand the ultimate sound, I thought I'd start with the complete opposite. Something I've simply never experienced before. Something hardly anyone's ever experienced. The sound of absolute silence.
I'm going to Salford University to listen to, well, to nothing. Welcome to the quietest room in the world.
Wow. This place is really strange.
Yeah, a lot of people say it sounds like you're in an aircraft and your ears need to pop. It's all a bit muffled.
How quiet is it then?
If you look at sound, it's measured on the decibel scale. So I'm talking to you about, I don't know, 65 decibels roughly. Your threshold of hearing is 0 decibels. This room we've measured at about minus 12 decibels.
So this room is a lot quieter than silence.
These open cell foam wedges absorb the slightest air vibration, and outside sound is removed by suspending the chamber within another room.
Now, in the real world, the measure of silence is if you can hear a pin drop. I just wonder what it would be like if we dropped a pin in here. Wow, it's amazingly clear.
When the pin hits the surface, it excites all the air molecules in the room to create sound waves.
So here, in the quietest place in the entire world, not only can you very clearly hear a pin drop, but looking at that, it's actually got the same volume as a human voice. It's just it only happens for a tiny fraction of a second.
So the question is, can I take the technology from this anechoic chamber and use it against this? This, believe it or not, is the latest in non-lethal audio weaponry.
Apparently, this piece of sound kit can be used to stop in their tracks even the most enthusiastic undesirable, without the need for an undertaker.
Inside are an array of speakers and magnets that phase and focus the sound waves into a narrow beam of super strength sound.
This means sound can travel huge distances without any distortion. But for a truly scientific experiment, we need a truly scientific guinea pig.
Dallas? I can hear you loud and clear. What exactly are we doing?
I've positioned Dallas 200 metres down that way. We're going to turn the sound on him and he's going to vocalise exactly what he's experiencing. Dallas?
All you have to do is try and make it to my position here. You'll
Hear a warning, ignore that, continue walking.
Then I'll see if we can stop you by using sound alone. Okay, I'm good at ignoring warnings. Go to radio silence
I just know this is going to be painful. I just know my insides are going to be melted or something.
Vessel on my port beam. You are approaching a U.S. Navy vessel. You are advised to operate at the minimum safe speed and to maintain a safe course. Alter course to starboard and
That's
slow
just annoying.
speed.
That's not a warning.
If
That's
you
just
do not
annoyance.
comply, you may be subject to arrest or other enforcement action.
Dallas has now ignored an extremely clear warning, which means it's time to up the ante. Now, in deterrent mode, this machine broadcasts an extremely focused stream of caustic sound.
Which is really bad news for Dallas.
Oh! Oh! God, that's horrible! Ow! Okay, I'm reaching my limit now! Jem, turn it off!
That was pretty conclusive. Using the power of sound alone, Dallas could not get within 25 metres of me. Dallas, that was maybe a bit harsh.
Oh, that was harsh.
But can the boys from Bang get one over on US Navy military-grade technology?
When I was at Salford University, had a chat with the guys there. they've got a whole bunch of scientific principles that they applied to building their quietest room in the world.
Yeah.
I've gleaned most of that knowledge.
Great.
And translated it into making you your own personal, like, probably silent device.
I love, like a kind of like a super duper noise cancelling thing.
Yeah.
Introducing my portable, high-frequency blocking, non-resonating head shield. OK, the name may need some work, but the science is solid.
We have double glazing. One layer of polycarbonate, a layer of air, another layer of polycarbonate, another layer of air, then the face shield, then the cushioning, then Dallas's ears. Now, Dallas, I appreciate you may not think this is enough and you've been through enough pain already. So I don't want you looking stupid ever again. One more thing. I learnt this from the anechoic chamber as well. They seem to be big into foam wedges.
Okay, now this sounds like a car alarm maybe 3 or 4 streets away. But really, it's not painful at all, it's just there. Jem, you're brilliant.
Dallas! You genius! Oh!
It works, that's brilliant. You know those headphones, those noise-cancelling headphones that you get on airplanes? Perfect, job done, half the price, brilliant. I'm going to take this next time I fly.
It just shows, using the scientific principles, it doesn't matter if it looks a bit cheap, it works. US military grade acoustic deterrent denied.
Okay, so about 100 points for innovation, but like -2 for aesthetics. I mean, what did that thing look like?
Liz, like we explained, we didn't have that military budget, but I took on board all the science and it genuinely worked.
It did, well done.
Now listen, if you want to borrow it for Ascot, next year you can, I let you.
I'm so going to win Ladies' Day with that on my head. See you next week.
Are you ready, Liz?
I am. Whack it up to maximum. I'm going to show you boys how it's done.
Maximum.
Oh!